Okay, let's talk about Pokemon Pokopia, which is out on March 5th. And we got some previews up on IGN. Casey DeFreitas previewed it in Japan, and she posted her thoughts in both a video and an article on IGN.com. And I also got to play it, the same demo that Casey saw. I played at the Nintendo preview event a couple weeks ago in New York, where I played Mario Wonder, Virtual Boy, all that stuff. And this game has been on my radar since it was announced, as I think it's going to be a huge hit, and I feel that way just even more after seeing it at this event. I think this is going to be enormous when it comes out in about a month. I think it's just a very inspired take on Pokemon. Basically, the core loop of this game is that you are trying to attract Pokemon to your town. And this town starts out in ruins, in shambles. You see a Pokemon Center that has just crumbled to the ground. And so you need to start little by little by building these habitats. And the first habitat is like a 2x2 grid of grass. And you do that because the first Pokemon you run into is Bulbasaur. And Bulbasaur teaches you Leafage, and you're playing this Ditto who can absorb the powers of other Pokemon. So after Bulbasaur teaches you this, your Ditto's arms turn into vines, and you can pluck grass up from the ground. So then you pluck a 2x2 grid of grass, and then a Charmander pops out. And then he teaches you a fire move, and you burn down this branch to get to the next part of the town, where you find a Squirtle, who teaches you a water move. So now you can water your dead grass to make different habitats that will attract different Pokemon. So this whole thing is you're finding new Pokemon, you're finding new clues for what kind of place these Pokemon want to live in, you're gathering the resources to build that place, the Pokemon show up, they teach you a new ability, rinse and repeat.
That's a great
It's
loop.
super satisfying instantly. They're going to build on it a ton as you go. I think it's just brilliant.
So we're seeing a lot of, since the jumps in this game got revealed, we heard a lot of like Animal Crossing comparisons, which obviously, not far from the truth. For me, it's like I'm picking up a lot more Fantasy Life. Like it's got a little like Fantasy Life, sort of same kind of predicament. You show up somewhere, you have this kind of homestead, and you're like building it out. It's in ruins. You clean it up, and then there's a job system that you bring in to sort of like integrate and start improving things on a granular basis. And here they effectively took that job system and they tethered it to individual Pokemon traits. And that's really smart. And I'm right there with you. Like this feels like one of those things that is going to just blow up. And I find it fascinating that we just got the big Switch 2 Animal Crossing update with a ton of new content for Switch 1 owners, right?
Yeah.
We've got Tomodachi Life coming in April. And in between those things, we have this. And so that's three, not necessarily competing, but concurrent kind of big, fun, cuddly life sims from Nintendo or adjacent to Nintendo coming to Switch 2 within just a couple of months. And I don't necessarily think all of them will thrive. I mean, Animal Crossing is obviously, it'll be fine. It's already done. It's already put its points up on the board. But yeah, I do wonder how many people will bounce off something like this to get the Tomodachi Life or vice versa, right? Because it's a lot jammed in together, and I think there's a lot of overlap between those audiences there. But the other part of me thinks that there is room for all of these to succeed, but that Pokemon's going to be the clear winner.
I think that there's room. Also, Tomodachi Life is a Switch 1 game, so that has that huge install base that can't get Pokopia yet. And Pokemon has the benefit of the Pokemon fan base also. So it's that Animal Crossing fan base plus the Pokemon fan base. Yeah, it's a big Venn diagram there, but it's just going to be huge. And I like what you brought up about Animal Crossing. This is a little bit of a tease of what we have coming next in the quarterly financials report. But Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa basically said that we released an update for Animal Crossing New Horizons, so they'll keep playing on Switch, and then they'll transition to Switch 2 when they see a new game that catches their eye. And that's kind of why we said on this show that they updated Animal Crossing, is because they have Pokopia and Tomodachi Life, and that user base that only has Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and a couple other casual things on their Switch is going to turn it on, see that news feed on the left that's like, oh, what is this? I can make my best friend and move them into my town in Tomodachi Life, and they're going to want to buy that. Or they're going to see, I can build a house and ask Pikachu to move into it. I need to get a Switch 2 now. So I think it's really smart, and it's just a huge year for that audience.
It is a good theory, right? We'll see how it pans out, because I feel like, Animal Crossing on Nintendo Switch is one of the best games ever made. You and I had a conversation a while back about, like, you said you prefer the 3DS one more, and I walked away from that sort of being like, you know what? I think I actually might agree with Logan on this one. Although the quality of life stuff and the visuals and all that are vastly superior. There's something to the 3DS one that I love, but I've been playing all of them since the GameCube one, right?
Yeah,
And
me
so
too.
yeah, so no matter what they put out, I'll be there day one. And I love the update they did here, and I do wonder how many of those people will ever return again. Like there was it that was a very, and we've talked about this ad nauseum here, but like that came out right place, right time. A lot of people were glued to social media, reading predominantly bad news. It was like, March 2020. And all of a sudden, there were screenshots of this really charming life simulator that people had maybe never heard of before. The Switch was readily available in stores. There was enough access points in terms of like Switch Lite, Switch. I believe the Switch OLED was already released at the time as well. And yeah, people just latched onto it. And I think a lot of people played that game a lot. And then the kind of world opened back up again. And I don't know how many of those people will open this game up again, do the update, play the new stuff, be like, this is chugging a little slow. If there's got to be a better way, and then go and upgrade to the Switch 2, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, you and I did it. Everyone who listens to this show is probably, if you don't have a Switch 2 yet, you're thinking about it, right? But I know a lot of people, and I think we both do, and this is obviously totally anecdotal information. I know a ton of people that got really into video games for the first time in a really long time in 2020, and a big part of that was Animal Crossing. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like Nintendo's done this amazing job of finding that kind of blue ocean strategy, and sometimes they go out for it as hard as possible, and sometimes the world collides in weird ways, and they kind of get lucky with it. But Pokemon, I believe, sort of transcends all of that, and so I think Pokemon has that ability of like bringing in people who are casuals, because I was explaining to my kid the other day, we put on like the Olympics for 5 minutes, and the first thing that popped up was this like it was an Olympian talking about how much she loves Magic the Gathering, and she's talking about all these cards, and I was just like, what? Oh, that's weird. And my daughter's like, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's a collectible card game I played when I was in like I was in middle school or something like that. And then I put it away, and she's like, so she still plays it? And I was like, well, it's really popular again now. And I was like, well, just like Pokemon cards, like my kid has a binder full of Pokemon cards. If you had told me when those were popping off back in the day that, 25, 30 years later, they would be more popular than ever, and people would be like hijacking trucks and, taking over, buying thousands of McDonald's Happy Meals and stuff like that just to get them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have believed you. And so Pokemon is in many ways more popular than it's ever been right now, and that's deeply fascinating. And so I think this game, to kind of bring this full circle, has a chance to do maybe not necessarily Animal Crossing numbers in 2020, but I think it will be absolutely massive.
Yeah. I mean, it's never going to do those numbers, like you're saying. So many factors. Plus, the Switch 2 install base is just much smaller than the Switch 1 was even at that time. But if we're talking like lifetime, I could easily see this eventually clearing 10 million lifetime sales. Like it's got the legs of like a Pokemon game. Plus a whole new audience it could bring in. Like I know you're going to play this, and I don't even know the last time you played a mainline Pokemon game. Like I feel like it's been a very long time, but this is, I think, drawing your attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is exactly like, I think that like, for me personally, I got a little overwhelmed with the annual releases of Pokemon, and then, to be completely blunt, a lot of the kind of just very overt negativity around it from the fan base. Like there was a lot of like, most of the talk is dominated by the how bad the graphics are on an individual tree, and like the engine running poorly, or like the backgrounds, or yada yada yada. And that's not to say that those swayed me in a direction away from those games, but it was also like, oh man, if they don't like it, then I don't even know if I will. And so it kind of made me hesitant to jump in. But this is the kind of game where like I'm all about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's just going to be a ton to do. We also got to try out the multiplayer a little bit, which is 4-player multiplayer, and you invite friends into your world. So you're not really working on a shared world. It's going to be your file you can invite friends into, but you can give your friends the power to destroy anything they want. Because again, this is also very much like a Minecraft, or Dragon Quest Builders is the closest comparison. That is what this game is with a Pokemon skin. And
love both of those games immensely.
Yeah, I love Dragon Quest Builders too.
Yeah.
I think that game is great, and this is so much like that. I'm a troll in these games, and I like to just destroy stuff and just run around and just goof around in these. And so we only had like 30 minutes to test out the multiplayer. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to dig as far down as I can. And so I just dug a hole straight down into the ground like you do in Minecraft. And then I was like, okay, so I think I'm at the bottom of the world. And then I used some ability to climb back out. I'm like, I'm going to try and find the height limit. So then I just started stacking this 1 block tower, and I got like 90 blocks in the air. Still no height limit. Like I still was going and going. So you're going to be able to build pretty much whatever you want in this, which I think is really cool. And then something I thought was cute was I jumped off my giant tower to see if there was fall damage or anything. I don't even really think there's health or combat in this game at all. So I was like, can I die if I jump off this 100 block tower I just built? And my Ditto, who's like a human shape, splatted onto the ground back into their Ditto form, like into the purple goo, and then like stood back up and morphed back into the human. And that was just a really cute animation.
That they didn't get hurt or die, but there's an animation for pain.
Yes, yeah, they were ready
good.
for it.
I dig that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think I would be slightly more excited for this if there was some sort of mild, action RPG elements. That was like a big part of fantasy life for me. But ultimately, like that is a game where like a bunch of very simple systems are glued together to create kind of a part of a better whole. It's a bag of Halloween candy basically, and so it's not a deal breaker for me for this game. I'll be playing it day one.
Yeah, it's going to be really great. And something I liked was the habitats that you're building. It's not just for one Pokemon. Like if you build 3 patches of grass and a rock by a body of water, like that will attract a Squirtle. But then when you get a Squirtle, it stamps Squirtle on your little Pokedex menu, and then you see 5 other empty silhouettes of the other Pokemon that can appear there. And so it's kind of this, just like Pokemon, when you walk around the tall grass on a route, you don't know who's going to pop out. This game does that too. So I just felt like it took everything I liked about Pokemon and fit it into this mold where you can build crazy towns. Like the town we got to see was way more complicated than something I'll ever be able to build. It was fully fleshed out, paved roads, street lamps, mailboxes, furnished houses. Super awesome. Like to show this off online to your friends, I think there's more opportunity here than in an Animal Crossing because it can really look however you want it to.
I think that was a big thing for Animal Crossing 2 early on. Wasn't just like the sort of connectivity elements of it and the social aspects, but it was flexing, right? It was just like, hey, look at this house I made. Look at this island I made. And to this day, like that's a big part of it. And I think that that is just like, that is absolutely free viral marketing, right? Like somebody posts a thing and they're just like, look at this house, look at this town that I made in this Pokemon game. People are going to go like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I want to do something like that. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah. And something I like for me is as somebody who I was a Minecraft kid. Like when Minecraft was just about to pop off before it went into 1.0, like I was playing it in middle school with my friends. I loved that game, but I'm just never really the type to say, I have this vision for this thing I want to build and I'm going to build it. I just am not creative in that way when playing things. So when games are about building, I get a little worried. Like even Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, I don't really know. But then that game incorporates it so seamlessly into this adventure that I really enjoyed it. And this game I think is going to be the same. It gives you these objectives. Like you need to build this park and it needs to have these 4 things. But it can look however you want within those confines. So it's like, that's perfect for me because I'm guided. I can do what I want. This game's going to take between 20 and 40 hours to reach the credits. I can finish it, roll credits, put it down. Or you can play for 100 and build your dream Pokemon Island. Like I think it offers that flexibility where I'm excited for this as someone who typically doesn't play these creative builder games.
Yeah, I think there's enough to do in there that's not, and I think you nailed it with the Tears of the Kingdom comparison because that was an option that was like, they were very smart about weaving it naturally into the stuff that you were doing already, and then started doling out shortcuts for all of it. So eventually you had auto build and there was, sort of like templates that you could use. And for something like this, yeah, I think doing the bare minimum, getting by and doing the story and stuff like that and having a functional town and village and stuff is cool. But yeah, people are going to go absolutely bonkers with it. And I'm excited to see them do that because I'm in the same boat. Like, I just don't have the time anymore. I saw something in Minecraft the other day. Somebody like rebuilt entire sections of The Last of Us with like bloom lighting. Wow. And there's just like, there's vines growing down the side of a building. And I'm like, I cannot fathom it. Like that is a level of artistry that I am just so impressed by. But I don't need to do it myself to appreciate it. So, get out there and make cool stuff for me to go wow at. So I don't have to do it myself.
During COVID, one of my friends from college made a like scale replica of the Mariners baseball stadium, and just like with 40,000 seats and the concession stands on the concourse. And I was like, I could never even picture how to start that. It's really cool. People can do.
That was the time to do it, Logan.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is going to be a huge hit. It's also rare I walk away from a preview event with no criticisms about a game. You know me. I have a lot to critique. I loved everything about this one. I'm
one of the
hater.
most negative people I've... No, I've...
Yeah.
I mean, you get painted in that corner when you're like honest about something, or
Yes,
like, you know.
I do.
But I don't think that's fair. I think it's okay to have things that you don't like about things you love. That's normal.
Thanks for watching this clip from Nintendo Voice Chat. Be sure to catch the full episode over at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of NVC drop every Friday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. With the Nintendo Switch 2 finally here, there is so much to dive into. We appreciate you tuning in, and don't forget, NVC is the only place you can get the thing